Well, and they bring it back in different and strange ways.
Yeah.
I mean, he apparently got in real life very mad at like all of his friends for trying to do the bit too much.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
like the
Well,
lore
yeah, I'm
behind
sure-
them dropping it on the show. Somebody did it at his wedding. I think was kind of like the last straw for.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay,
Or maybe
that's fair.
maybe that was later and that was like in good nature. I don't remember. There was there's lore around that, but every once in a while they'll have someone on who tries to do it again and like really gets on their nerves. But the best, have you listened to the Slumdog Millionaire episode?
I have not.
Okay, that episode is one. It's really good. They have Sidit Anantha, I think is his name. Is an Indian film critic. And he does not listen to the show, and it's quite obvious that he doesn't listen to the show. And he gets legitimately surprised, like truly, honestly surprised when David starts talking about cricket, and David thinks that he's doing the bit and gets mad at him, and then they realize like pretty quickly that he like does not know what the heck David is mad about, and is just like actually surprised that David knows anything about cricket. It's very funny.
That's beautiful. God bless him. That's so good. Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
All right. I probably haven't forgotten the intro. That all said. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite artists' discographies. I'm Matt Kistler.
And I'm Troy Sennett.
And I didn't forget the intro. Yeah!
Yeah.
For those who weren't paying attention at the end of the last couple episodes, we've not done this for a couple of weeks, a few weeks, almost a month. Yeah, it's been a while, so I'm very proud of myself. That said, it was a good point to do that because we're starting a new series today on, well, one of our favorite bands. Truly shocking, I know. These next few weeks, I guess almost 2 months, given the size of this discography, we're going to be talking about Chicago-based punk rock band Rise Against. We'll go ahead and dive in a little bit to history and their first album, The Unraveling. But Troy, can you tell me a little bit about how you first came across this band?
I found Rise Against in like the least punk way possible, which is that I heard Swing Life Away on the radio.
Yeah.
And went home and played it on whatever the streaming service that I had at the time, Music Match, literally dozens and dozens of times in a row. I heard that song once and it was immediately like my favorite song. I think it's still kind of like a perfect acoustic rock or ballad or whatever. From there, this would have been 2005 probably. And I remember asking for a Siren Song of the Counterculture for Christmas that year, and I got it, and my uncle who got it for me was like, "What is this, some hippie stuff?" And I thought was funny. But yeah, and so from there, I kind of became a fan going forward from that. And I remember being really into Suffer and the Witness when it came out, and then going backwards to Revolutions Per Minute. And Revolutions Per Minute is like I probably went back to that first, but that album is the reason that I learned how to play bass. I think that has the best bass playing and bass tones of maybe any album I've ever heard. And me kind of fawning over Joe Principi as a bass player is going to be a running theme of this podcast, I think. But yeah, and I think they're like, I don't know. What's your history with Rise Against first before I go into my whole thesis about them?
Oh, no, it's totally cool. One thing I will say to the public, but I know I've told you, is that after Rise Against did a run of shows a couple of years ago at the Metro, and after night 3, we walked out of G-Man to the band, like, just kind of hanging out, talking to people, signing stuff. And I was like, Hey, Joe, if you got a second, I just wanted to let you know that my friend Troy plays bass because of the way that you play bass. He thought that was neat as hell.
Oh, that's very nice.
But yeah, sorry. So my history with the band is kind of my history with a lot of bands that I love. So my friend Kyle, who I've been friends with since 5th grade, we've been in bands together for the vast majority of my life prior to him moving out of state. He got very into Rise Against very early on, like right around the time that this album came out. And introduced me to them. So I think I first heard this album probably later in 2021, maybe early 2022. Or
You mean
Jesus, sorry.
2001?
2001. Oh my God, I haven't said 2001 in a long time. Sorry. Yes. Like late 2001, early 2002. And I remember liking this album a lot. We'll talk a little bit about the mix on this album, but I didn't realize how weird it was until the updated version came out later on. But like we kind of dove into, eventually all things that Tim did. Like I think we found that the compilation of Baxter stuff that came out like a little bit post the band breaking up. We were both super into the Killing Tree. We ideally will have Kyle on this series at some point. I just didn't ask him in time to actually have him on for tonight. He's also on a different in a different time zone than us, so it might be difficult, but we'll make it work. But yeah, shout outs Kyle for introducing me to Rise Against. He's the kind of person who like saw them at like VFW halls and like the Knights of Columbus out in the burbs. Like basically a day one fan. So I have a lot of affinity for these early records, as I'm sure will become evident over the course of this series. But yeah, that was kind of my intro. Was like every other punk band, Kyle was like, "Here, listen to this cool thing," and sure enough, it was really good. But go on, no, Troy.
I just the reason I kind of picked them for a band for us to cover on the show because I think they're an interesting band in that they have a long career with not a ton of member changes after the first. Well, I mean, really, they really only like shift around guitarists, but they've been pretty consistent in releasing a record every 2 to 3 years for 25 years at this point. And but I think that they have some like stone cold classics. They have some albums that I think are like near unlistenable that I'd be interested to revisit and see if I still think that. And they have at least one like reclamation project that I would like to do. An album that I think is unjustly maligned. But I don't know, and I just think that the arc of like here's a band that I think of as very political, but has been on a major label for a large chunk of their career, and like how I think it'll be interesting to kind of look at how they have navigated the sort of corporate music world while at the same time being a band that has values that I think often are the opposite of the circles that they run in, and I think we saw a little bit of that with Thursday and how they dealt with it. So I'm curious to kind of interrogate how Rise Against does that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Every time I Google something related to this band, the first people also ask is either, is Rise Against liberal or is Rise Against conservative? Which is just two wild questions, honestly. But, it's... people think Rage Against the Machine is acceptable for conservatives to listen to, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that like brings up the thing that surprised me most about Unraveling, which is an album that I think I listened to when I was getting into the band and kind of ignored for a long time. Because I loved a couple songs from it, and a lot of it is a little too fast and hard for my tastes. But it is not a political album in the way that they become a very political band immediately after this. And that really surprised me that they're not like Propaganda, where they were and remained the most like outspoken, true to their political ideals band from the beginning to the end. Like Rise Against is definitely not that, even though they I think get lumped in with the same group of bands.
Yeah, this album does stand out a lot in that particular regard, which is something that I hadn't really thought about until like kind of coming back to it in the like context of thinking about it in their larger body of work, which is interesting, just given how much I latched onto it. And like we'll get to revolutions per minute on the next episode, but like that one like really brought me in even more than I was already in. So yeah, that's kind of how I think of them generally, despite the fact that I've listened to this record a ton over the last 24 years. But yeah, do we want to get into like some band history prior to the record and then roll from there?
Yeah, so Rise Against starts off from kind of the ashes of 88 Fingers Louie breaking up, bassist Joe Principi and guitarist Dan Wiklinski. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Dan Precision is probably fine.
Sure, yeah. The super Polish last name. The chapter in Sellout is very funny because they're like on their way out to do a 6-week tour with AFI, and they just decide not to do it and break up instead.
Yeah.
And then Joe goes to an AFI show and like apologizes to Davey Havok, which like my thought when I was this is like, if your band broke up on instead of doing a tour with AFI, would you ever be able to face Davey Havok again in your life, or would you just die instead?
I would simply die.
But they at this show he runs into Tim McIlrath, whose band Baxter he had seen play before, and just said, "Hey, I'm starting a new band. Like, you should audition for it." Are you much of an 88 Fingers Louie guy? Have you listened to them ever, really?
Yeah, I've listened to them. I like them fine. Like, they stuck with my punk friends a little more than they did with me. Like, I'll go back and listen to them every once in a while, but I never latched onto them the way that I latched onto this project.
Yeah, I don't know, it's punk, and it's to me the obvious thing that's missing from a band like that. Like, the playing is very good. Is a vocalist who is really powerful, and I think it's telling that Joe in the interviews for Sellout, he's talking about how he wanted to start a band that was, one, not silly like a lot of the like Fat Records bands were at the time,
Yep.
and also had a vocalist who could really carry the band, who could sing really well, could scream really well, and that like you could kind of build the band around. And like you listen to those old Baxter songs, and like it's already there. Tim at like 19 years old or however old he is when they made those recordings just sounds like Tim already. It's actually kind of amazing.
It really is. I hadn't listened to Baxter in a long time prior to, revisiting it a little bit for this, and like it was funny to kind of look at the aesthetics of like their 7 inches, and it's like this is a screamo band that isn't quite a screamo band, but yeah, like Tim's got it already. Like it's all already there in terms of like the way that he carries his vocals, the way he delivers his vocals, the even like the cadence at which he like puts words into lines. Like it is really like truly all there.
Yeah, and I think he's also in Arma Angelus at this point too. Is that right?
I'm not 100% sure of the timeline, but I believe so.
I'm pretty sure he was. It's around this time for sure.
Yeah.
But regardless, they this new band forms under the name Transistor Revolt. They make an EP, which gets the attention of Fat Mike at Fat Records. He signs them, but makes them change their name, which I think is I don't know. I think Transistor Revolt is kind of a fun name, but it sounds like a local band, and I think Rise Against is a much better name.
Yes, for sure.
What do you think of this Transistor Revolt EP? This is the first time I had ever listened to it, yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it is entirely songs that either ended up on the Unraveling or ended up getting re-recorded in kind of the same sessions. So like by and large, the songs themselves, like the performances are, very, very similar. Not necessarily, as well recorded, obviously, because, it was just like Dan recording them. It's a demo, but like the most notable thing for me, and obviously this is because of the fact that Brandon Barnes wasn't drumming for them, but the drums just aren't as good as they are on the Unraveling. Yeah. Like the parts themselves are like, especially on 2, which is an early version of 401 Kill, just the like bass drumming pattern, just like it feels like he's trying to be really consistent at the detriment of the song, because like I focused so hard on that, even though I love 401 Kill a lot. I'm like, oh man, this just sounds wrong. And I had listened to this back in the day, but it had been a long time, so it was kind of weird to hyperfixate on that now, but like it really is a testament to like how good of a drummer Brandon Barnes is, if nothing else.
Yeah, and that early version of 401 Kill is the one that stood out to me on this, because I mean these songs are, like I said, it's a demo, it's mixed really badly, but Tim is like, he's got it. It's already there. Same thing I said about the Baxter songs. Like he's mixed really low, and he's like fighting against the song, but you can just tell that there's something there. And I gotta imagine Fat Mike or whoever was listening to the slush pile of demos at Fat Wreck at the time was like, this is gonna be something good if they can clean it up and record it better.
Yeah, and I don't know how much we want to get into this now, but like I guess this is like kind of an appropriate bridge to talking about the album in general. But given that you got into Rise Against more around like 05 ish, have you ever heard the original mix of this album? Like the non like I think they re-released it in 05, 06.
Okay, this was my biggest oversight in prepping for this podcast. I had it open in a tab and then I forgot to listen to it because I have never heard the original. I've only heard the remixed version, remixed and remastered by Bill Stevenson and Jason Livermore at Blasting Room, who would become their like main collaborators over the years.
So this is the thing. I obviously I have a lot of love for this album. That was the only version of the album I had for like 4 or 5 years. That remix and master that those two did it makes the album so much better. Like it makes it what it should have been. Like the most notable thing is that the drums are mixed really, really poorly on the original. I didn't know there were hi-hats at the beginning of Alive and Well for half a decade because of that mix. Like I shit you not. I put on my vinyl copy today because I hadn't listened to that version in a long time, and I didn't, have a point where I was in the car today to listen to the CD. So I was like, is it as bad? I don't want to say bad as I remember, because like clearly I got into this album despite any flaws in the mix. But like, yeah, I remember hearing the newer mix for the first time, and I was like, I'm hearing things that I did not know were on this album. And like as I listened to it more today, I was like, man, there are no hi-hats on this album. Like you can't hear them at all. It's almost like they ran into the problem that every mix engineer runs into, in that the hi-hats were everywhere and they did not know how to handle it except to get rid of them altogether.
Yeah, I mean that's. I guess I was not familiar with really anything else that his producer Master Genie had done. But it's just looking at his discography. It's all 88 Fingers Louie, Screeching Weasel, bands that sound like snotty 90s punk. And so I really should have gone and listened to the original version. It sounds like it was a grueling recording session, and probably mixing session as well. They spent a lot of time on it, and I think even if the original mix is bad, the new mix shows that the performances are really good. This is an extraordinarily tightly performed album, and I think it when it works because of that.
Yeah, 100%. That was kind of the point I wanted to drive to, is just that, like, any problems that you might have, like, that a person listening back at that point might have had with the original mix, like they are just gone. Like it's definitely not the band. It's just, this is how it was mixed. Sorry, we didn't bring out a lot of the good stuff. But yeah, it's really. I guess I feel like I wondered at the time, like I don't know, I like how that album sounds a lot. Like I don't know how they could improve it. Oh, well, they make literally everything sound like 10 times better.
Is it as good as the Replacements Tim remix?
I don't know about that.
That's
a pretty high
best,
bar to clear.
The biggest remix glow up of all time.
It's a pretty big glow up. Like I would definitely encourage you to go back and just like listen to the first handful of tracks. Like you'll get kind of the idea. Like Alive and Well is a really exemplary, like it's egregious how different they are.
Yeah, I got to do that one and 6 Ways to Sunday back to back. 6 Ways to Sunday is my favorite song on this album, which we will get to. The one other thing before we get into the songs is, why is there an alien on the cover of this album? I don't understand the album artwork.
I was gonna look that up before this, and I didn't, so I don't know. I've never understood the album artwork here. The aesthetic is super weird.
One of the strangest choices that this band has ever made, I think, is putting an alien on the album cover.
Yeah, agree. I'm guessing they had a friend who did art and they liked this, would be my assumption. Everybody will update you if we look this up between now and the next episode.
I'm looking it up right now. I don't know why.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Troy. But yeah, that's always been a weird thing for me. Like they're not a band that like really has a consistent aesthetic across like album covers. But like this still stands out despite that.
Yeah, it's or maybe it's not supposed to be an alien. It's just supposed to be a very stylized person. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a strange album cover. I like this. Someone asked on Reddit what the heck the alien means, and someone replied, it means, "Are you ready to rock?" Which is a good way to get into the beginning of Alive and Well, which starts off with Jack Black saying those words.
Yes. Truly an inspired sample choice.
Yeah, no, it's a great opening track. They always open with like a barn burner of a song. I remember there's an interview with Tim McGrath that I read a long time ago, mostly about I think it was in the Siren Song era, where he said that the best thing you can do as a band is to like open your album with the loudest, fastest, craziest song you can, so that when a major label exec hears your record, they will get scared of it.
Yep,
which
that
I
sounds
always
great.
liked. And they're pretty consistent about doing that over their first few albums. I think this is a great song. It's this it kind of not lulled me into, but like it sort of confirmed, like, oh yeah, this is Early Rise Against. The song is like it's a call to action. It's about persistence. It's about like fighting back against a world that's not built in a way that helps everyone. And I don't know, those are the kind of themes that I associate with this band, and which are more on this song than they are on many songs on the album.
Yeah, I mean, it's got like 90% of the building blocks for like an archetypical Rise Against song, even at this point in their career.
Yeah.
Like the bass is so killer on this song. That like one little bass break towards the beginning is like, I guess right after the first chorus, like just blows my mind every time, still to this day. Yeah, I don't know, this song really yeah, just introduces the album super well. I come back to this song a lot. I was super stoked when they opened the Metro residency with this song. I can't say enough good things about it.
Cool. Next up is My Life Inside Your Heart, which is sort of a love song, I guess, or at least a song of like unity and commitment. Again, it's got this like vaguely like another kind of song about persistence, about fighting against the world or whatever, the rising against, so to speak.
You might say.
But I think it's tuned a little more towards either friendship or romantic love, one of the two. What do you think of this one?
I like this one a lot. Yeah, it seems to almost lean like romantic, but like it doesn't quite get there. So I don't think that's what it's meant to be about. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of a theme we talked about a lot with Thursday, was just like kind of being in a world that wants to beat you down, and the ways in which you fight against that, and like obviously that's going to be a lot of what Rise Against is about, because it turns out that being even vaguely leftist as a person means that you're going to be doing a lot of that, especially through things like community building and helping each other out.
Yeah, I think that's like I think that's kind of the angle to look at a lot of this record from, is like this is a young left-leaning person kind of trying to figure this stuff out. And I think, like, I don't want to say that I think the album is like too vague or whatever. I just think it's a product of youth and of a writer who hasn't quite figured out how to write the most like potent, visceral songs yet, with a couple exceptions that we'll get to.
Yeah, clearly these songs are written from a perspective that is like heading in that direction, the direction that writes a song like Blood Red, White, and Blue on their next album.
Exactly. Yeah. The next up is Great Awakening. This is like the sort of super hard, super fast Rise Against that I never loved and never really got into, and kind of like turned me off of this album early on. I like it more now, and the bass tone rules in this song. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, those were my two notes. Was like, this is a classic Rise Against song, like a classic early Rise Against song in all senses of the phrase. And then, like, yeah, the bass is just absolutely outstanding on this song.
I don't know. I like the soundtrack to the Stagnant Life lyric. Again, there's one of this. It feels like it's pointing towards what Tim is going to write later on. I don't know. I'm just always going to prefer him singing to him screaming, I think.
I'm not the opposite, but I definitely like his screaming a lot. So, which is why I like the Killing Tree so much, which is a band we'll talk about at some point. But
for sure, yeah.
But yeah, I love the way that the chorus ends on the line, "Are these words falling on deaf ears?" Like, just the way that line is delivered has always stood out to me too.
Yeah, and then they changed it at the end to "The nothing I can do will make you hear."
Yeah, yeah.
a good little twist at the end of the song.
We love that.
Yeah. After that, I think is collectively our favorite song on the album, 6 Ways Till Sunday.
No question. No question.
This was the one so we talked about those shows at the Metro 2 years ago. And I kind of you went to all three. I made a bet. I was like, I'm going to go to one, and I'm going to hope it's the one that they play 6 Ways Till Sunday at. And I was right. I got it. Bet paid off. This is an incredible song.
It really is. Here's a tragic story for you. So you know how Fall Out Boy, releases Take This to Your Grave, and they go, hey, we're going to close with Saturday at every show for the remainder of our career. So Rise Against did that with 6 Ways Till Sunday, and one of those bands kept that promise.
Committed to it.
Yep.
How long was Rise Against doing that? Do you know?
I do not know. I know they did it, or I'm pretty sure they did it the first time I saw them, which was at the Warped Tour before they released Siren Song. I don't know if they did it again anytime after that. I'd have to double check set lists.
They certainly did not do it the first time I saw them, which was in 2011.
No. I think they stopped playing this song for a hot minute.
They stopped playing any song from the Unraveling, as far as I can tell, like except at special shows like the like those Metro shows or whatever.
Yeah, well, they had a show in was it 2009 or 2009 or 2011? I think it was 2011. Like it was a 10-year anniversary thing where they just played the first two albums, and that was like it.
Okay.
At the Metro, I didn't go because it was my mom's birthday, and I kind of wish I'd maybe been like, "Hey, Mom, what if we celebrated your birthday on a different day?" But you can only do so much.
Yeah.
That was how I got Karmic Retribution and the ability to go to all three of the other shows. So I'm calling that fine. But yeah, this song absolutely rules. You remember from that show, that was the song I disappeared during Into the Pit, and it was the only song I disappeared into the pit for.
I mean, I probably should have done that too. But no, I mean, this is just like the songs that I think are best on this album are the songs that are more about interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, and I think the writing is just a little more visceral, a little more like, I don't know about personal, but more specific. And I just, something about this, the way the theme of the song about like a friend who doesn't, or a friend who the friendship is kind of falling apart because you don't see the world in the same way as this person, is like, I don't know, that was something that resonated with me a lot when I heard the song when I was in like high school. And I think it's still like, I don't know, either that I just remember how I felt back then, or it just is something I still think about. And it's also super catchy. And I don't know, I just think it's one of the best Rise Against songs, not only the best song on this record.
Yeah, definitely. It's an all-timer for me, for sure. I had the thought today that this is definitely a song about a kid who the phrase "you'll get more conservative as you grow up" actually applied to. Unlike most people I know. But yeah, like the line at the end of the second verse, the "I miss the person that you were, but I don't miss you" is just, it hits every single time. I'm like, man, that sucks to be that guy.
How many times was that your aim away message?
Not as many as you'd think, but it definitely was at least once.
Yeah. It's a great song.
It truly is.
After that is 401 Kill. One of the songs from the demo that we talked about. I think these lyrics are like, reading them now, they're like pretty cliche ridden. But I think Tim's vocal performance on this still sells the song.
It totally does. Also, the opening riff / the main riff on this song is kind of an all-timer for me personally. It's just like, it's maybe not a standout in Rise Against discography, but like I remember at the time being like, oh yeah, this goes hard. So it's stuck with me.
the way that the riffs kind of go hard on this album is a way that they don't do a lot again, except when they dip back into the hardcore influence stuff. Like there's not a lot of like shreddy guitar solos. They're around, but it's more these kind of like chunky, chuggy riffs. They're just played with such precision that it's that's not meant to be a pun.
But it was.
Yep. That I don't know. They sound tighter than like any of their peers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you said, like that. this song maybe lyrically isn't like the most compelling thing. I mean, obviously it was when I was in middle school hearing this for the first time, but
Right.
in retrospect, like the pieces all fit together such that it really doesn't matter that like it's lacking a little bit in that department. Like, yeah, Tim's delivery is impeccable. Everything else about it is we'll just say very precise, and just like slots together so well that it all works out to a greater whole.
Yeah, I just think you've got a nostalgia for this album that I don't have.
Yeah, I know.
So
And
I'm
trying my best to sidestep that, but I'm not going to do a very good job.
It's good. It's good. It's good that we have like not the exact same perspective on a record for once.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, and Art of Losing is kind of a similar thing. It's fast, hard. It's one of the first songs I assume that they wrote because it's on the demo. And this is, like I said, having no like nostalgia for this. To me, it's just like this is like a really well performed version of this of hardcore punk. The thing that sticks out in the song is the big like cadence change for the outro.
Yes.
That I think is like it really catches your ear and changes up the song in a good way.
Yeah. This song for me, like as I was kind of doing my notes for this, I had the thought like this feels maybe more so than most of the other songs on this album a little bit like kind of a peek at like what was going to happen next on RPM, just sonically, like not necessarily lyrically, but a little bit lyrically too. Just like kind of a lot of variety on this song. One of my favorite things about this one though is the way that the word same hangs out in the backing vocals, kind of going between the chorus and the verse. But yeah, like this is very much like just a kind of pummeling like classic hardcore song in a lot of ways, but there's enough spice thrown in there that it still really stands out for me.
Yeah. Were you into any like hardcore punk stuff before you heard the Rise Against, or was this kind of your intro to the genre as well?
I was definitely listening to adjacent bands around the time. Like I loved AFI around then, and I was introduced to them through The Art of Drowning, but like quickly also came around to their earlier, right, like their early Nitro records, like the ones that are just straight up punk records. I wasn't quite yet listening to bands like Comeback Kid or like anything like that, but I did definitely get into that school of hardcore as a direct result of this record for sure.
So when I heard Siren Song, State of the Union was literally the heaviest song I had ever heard in my life. And it was like eye-opening for that in that way. And so I'm curious if that's why I was curious if this was like you're hearing this and like, oh, this is harder than anything I've heard, or this is like, lame compared, not lame, but like, not as crazy compared to like whatever other bands you would have been listening to at the time.
It's probably the most aligned with this kind of punk that I had ever been at this point. Like my punk history is like, I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, but like a lot of my early punk history is like stuff that Kyle introduced me to. So like that was through bands like Rise Against, but like also like bands like Blink-182, and then eventually like bands like The Germs. So like it was really a weird like gamut that I was like getting thrown like the various eras of punk over the course of my life. That's a real
like there are two pop punk wolves inside of me taste there. Rise Against, it's kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, kind of. We'll obviously talk about this as time goes on here, but like there's a reason that like they became as popular as they did, and it's because they recognize like what about like they are able to isolate like certain bits of like what makes punk fun, while also being pretty damn serious about it, which is not an easy bridge to create.
Well, one thing that is very fun about punk is the skipping, like, hey, that they do in Remains of Summer Memories to transition into that song. I think this is kind of haphazard as a song, but that part of it is great.
I like that, and I like the kind of just like the kind of triplets like leading up to that. But yeah, like for the most part, Remains of Summer Memories is like mostly just a pretty good song for my experience.
Yeah, I like the title more than I like the song.
I do like the isolated vocal intro too. Like the all these days part is pretty damn cool because Tim's a great vocalist. Duh.
Yeah, you want to hear him.
Yeah.
Then after that is the title track, The Unraveling. This is a pretty interesting song, I think. They're playing in 6/8, which I don't think they do a ton on this record. They've got this like
No.
bass intro that rules and kind of calls ahead to stuff like The Good Left Undone.
Yes.
Or I guess it's more Survive. It's like the end of the. Well, we'll talk about it, but it's in between The Good Left Undone and Survive. That little bass interlude, like the way they put bass for it is like one of the best things about this band. Joe Pinsipri, best bass player.
Yes,
and I
undeniably.
just think the groove of this is something that they'll do a lot, and it really does set them apart from other bands playing this style. It also has a big guitar solo, which they haven't done a lot on this album, or really at all at this point, I don't think.
Yeah, there are a couple songs from this era with guitar solos. This I really love this song for all the reasons you've already stated. I think Tim kind of pushes himself outside of his like, I guess what I would call his normal comfort zone on most of the rest of the songs. Just a little bit, like just up against the edge of it. Yeah, this song kind of, being in 6/8, being a little more laid back. It's one of those ones where it's kind of obvious that like they talk about this in that interview that I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, but they had like kind of slapdash interview like backstage as NoFX is playing while they're touring with them. But Joe kind of mentions like, yeah, like a lot of these songs start off with me just kind of bringing in like the skeleton of a song, and like you can kind of tell when he like has a big idea for something, and this is definitely one of those songs because that bass intro rules so hard. But my one other note on this song is that the guitar solo is just fine. Like it's like I know Dan is better at writing guitar solos than that. But like it's not that it's bad. It's just that like it starts pretty strong and then it just kind of like
it peters
out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the best guitar solo got cut from the album.
Right. Yeah. We'll talk about that one.
But yeah, I mean, it just is. There's not that a lot of like guitar lead focused songs really on up to this point on the album, or really at all.
And that becomes, I think that becomes a little more of a thing as they move on. Like they skillfully deploy it, I think, over the course of their career. But
yeah, and I think we'll talk about is the only like member change that they have is they keep switching out guitar players.
Yeah,
and some of them are notably better than others, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
After that is Reception Fades. This is a cool song. Another one that starts off with like a sample. Another one that was on the demo. But
yep.
I always think it's funny when like young people write lyrics like "is the best yet to come" or "did it pass by long ago," and you're like 19 or whatever when you wrote that. And I was the same way. But I love it. I always make note of it. It always makes me laugh.
Yeah, it's fun to look back at that time in your life and go, wow, I thought it had really bottomed out, didn't I?
Yeah. I was wrong. I'm glad I was wrong about that when I was writing stuff like that.
Same.
Do you have anything else about Reception Fades? I don't have a ton about this song. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty classic in terms of this era of Rise Against. Like it's got kind of the aggro verse and the sung chorus. It's got like the kind of cool doubled vocals thing, which doesn't happen a lot on this album, but I think it works when it does. Yeah, it's just a pretty solid song with a fun sample at the beginning that makes it more than a minute long.
After that is Stained Glass and Marble. This is kind of it's another one of the heavier songs, but it's a little more high concept in its lyrics. It's definitely a song about the way that the church takes advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably the most like I don't know, the most like political idea or whatever, or social commentary idea on the album. And I like that. I don't know that I care about it a ton as a song, but I like that they're going for something a little bigger lyrically on it.
Definitely, yeah. I mentioned Comeback Kid earlier, and I feel like this song kind of prepped me for loving Wake the Dead as much as I did back in the day, and still do now. Because this feels like it is definitely like that style of hardcore. Including but not limited to it being, I think this might be the fastest song on the album, like just tempo wise. There's all kinds of gang vocals around this. That bridge riff just like kind of goes nuts. Yeah, I like this song a lot personally. But yeah, to your point, like it definitely is a lot closer to the kind of political commentary that you get on later Rise Against albums than a lot of songs on this record.
Yeah, it's more what I expected. It's not. I mean, it's not like the deepest commentary ever, but it's
No,
more what I
definitely
expected
not.
from this album.
Yeah, but you know, I too was in my early 20s and would have written a similar song if you tasked me with writing about this subject.
Yeah,
except
for sure.
Worse, to be clear.
Then after that is Ever Changing. This song, I came to this one backwards. The acoustic version of this song is one of my favorite Rise Against songs, like easily top 10, maybe top 5. I think the album version of the song is almost like funny because it just feels like a total mismatch of subject matter and music.
Interesting.
What do you think? What do you think of this one?
I mean, I like this one a lot, and I like it a lot as is on the album. And that is probably largely because that is the way that I heard it originally. I didn't hear the acoustic version for quite a while after. Which, to be clear, the acoustic version is really good. Like,
it's amazing.
There are just enough, like, one, it falls into that thing that we've talked about a lot, where like if a guitar song is a good song, chances are it's going to sound good on an acoustic guitar. And it's got that, but like the tweaks made for the acoustic version, just in terms of like, you know, strumming patterns and like kind of slight variances in like vocal cadence and delivery, like it does bring it to like kind of a totally different level. It's like almost a different song in a lot of ways.
Tim's a better vocalist whenever they do the acoustic version a couple years later.
And also that.
Is it a half step down from what it is on the full band version? There must be something. His voice sounds deeper. Maybe it's just recorded better. I don't know. It's so good. The other song that reminds me of is kind of the same situation as Chalk Line by Strike Anywhere, I heard the acoustic version on one of the Punko's acoustic comps. I think it's on one of those. Is unbelievable. And then the full band fast version just feels like, I don't know, something feels wrong to me about that. And I'm sure it's just because it's the version I heard first or whatever, but something about both of those songs feels more right as like an intimate acoustic song. And I mean, because this song is about like you know, being in a relationship that you recognize isn't going to work out, is kind of faltering and failing, and deciding to actually like make a change in your life and leave it. And like, I don't know, I just think the emotion in it comes through so well on, I mean, both versions of it, but really on the acoustic version.
For sure. But yeah, like that all said, like this, I do find it, the placement of this song is very interesting, given the subject matter, and like, you know, even sonically, like if the sonic qualities are a mismatch with the lyrics, like it's still a pretty dramatic sonic turn from Stained Glass and Marble, and then also to Sometimes Selling Out Is Giving Up.
Oh, I mean, the track list for this album, outside of the opener and closer, kind of feel like they threw darts at the whiteboard.
When I was reading about kind of reading about the timeline of this album, and specifically them doing the re-release, apparently several critics were like, I don't know why they didn't resequence this album when they had the chance.
Yeah, I agree.
I also agree on that front. It could use some work on that front. But yeah, I love this version of this song. I really like the bridge and the outro hit so hard every single time.
Yeah, it's so good. The "now we make the same mistakes, we're always hanging on" part is stuck in my head often. It was literally all day today. It's a great song. It's one of the best. I mean, it's even though I think that this version on the album is like a little bit weird, it's still my second favorite song on the album.
Totally. I will say it says a lot about this song that after those Rise Against shows, my friend Matt came the night after you did, and they played this song, and he, like, not the next day, but like within the week, got an Ever Changing tattoo.
Oh, nice.
Which was sick. It's a good tattoo. His buddy Steve, who I'm in a band with, is a very good tattoo artist. So he gets quick turnaround on that stuff sometimes, which is rad. But speaking of Sometimes Selling Out Is Giving Up.
Yeah, great song. as far as the like hardcore, the faster, more hardcore stuff on here. It's a little more melodic, and so I like it a little bit more. But it definitely has that like juvenile punk, like, you mistreated me, I will, I'll get you back someday, I'll never forget, they'll never forget the way that you were mean to me or whatever. So there's a little bit of that, but it's still pretty fun.
Yeah. This is definitely a song about being betrayed by somebody you trust in some capacity or another. It's a song made for making a circle pit too.
Yeah.
like literally my only note is circle pit, motherfuckers.
Yeah, but the thing, like, they would never say that. That's the thing about Rise Against, is they're so self-serious. Like, they won't even, like, there's no like goofy, like, we should play a prank on this person sort of thing. It's more, it's just, and yeah, like I said, it's just the most serious version of all these emotions and feelings, which I think was kind of what they were going for. And I can see how that's turned some people off from this band. But to me, it was always an appeal. Like, I want my punk to be, I don't know, to be self-serious, I guess.
Yeah, like I feel like it makes me appreciate the band a lot to like know that they mean pretty much everything they say. Like, it's face value. Like, you are getting what we are saying, unless you're one of those apparently conservative Rise Against fans who doesn't want them to get too political. But again, story for another episode.
Yeah.
But of course this song is fodder for later in their career too, because they would never play this song these days.
Right.
And I'm not saying Rise Against sold out. I am saying Rise Against is a different band now. Which during that interview, it is funny that at one point the interviewer says, "Oh, well, do you all see yourself like being kind of in NoFX's shoes, sometime in the future, like being the huge headlining band playing these like, kind of big venues?" Oh no, wait, that wasn't the actual order of the thing. But anyway, they got to a point where they were talking about like, being a new band and, kind of having to bring people over to your side, even when you're playing with bands that sound, vaguely like the bands you're inspired by. And they're like, yeah, like, we're not playing for fans. We're playing for people we're trying to win over. If we were playing for our fans, we would sound like a totally different band. And I think Tim from Off Camera says, yeah, we'd sound like Whitesnake, which I found so funny. But then I was like, oh yeah, they did. Like, they didn't. I don't know if I would say that they've changed that dramatically in a lot of ways over the course of their career, but like, obviously they have more mass appeal than they did at this point, and I just find that very funny to look back at something like that.
I mean, we'll get to in momentarily. We'll get to. I think we can talk about that a little bit more after we talk about 3 Day Weekend, which is a very short song, and we probably don't need to talk about too much. You mentioned in your review on Factory that you might not notice if they cut the song from the album. I think I agree.
I literally forget this song exists all the time, and it's a minute long, and it's fine. If it went away, I wouldn't cry. It's not bad. It's just a minute long and doesn't have very many memorable parts.
Yeah, I agree. But after that is 1,000 Good Intentions. This is a song that I think is the template for the future of Rise Against.
That I would agree with. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I called this in my notes, punk arena rock, which feels like pejorative, but is kind of what they do. And like that chorus is just that simple lyric, like, how could something so right with a whoa in the middle of it turn out so wrong, is just like that's the kind of lyric that they would build big songs like Savior around. Something that's easy to sing along to, easy to relate to. I think that they are good at this, and it just feels kind of out of place on this album. I think it just feels like it's something that they transported back from the Siren Song era.
Yeah, it definitely feels prophetic in a lot of ways to that point. But it exemplifies a lot of the stuff that they're gonna do incredibly well over the course of the rest of their career.
I don't know. Is it too critical of them to call this punk arena rock?
That might be a little harsh, but I get what you're saying.
It's meant for big venues, like, or it's meant for something bigger than a VFW hall, I think is what I'm getting at.
It shows a desire to get to a point in your career where you have people singing along to your songs and being louder than you are on the mic, like,
right,
and like that I'm gonna harken back to that interview one more time, and this is only something that I've realized due to the the value of hindsight. But they're kind of talking about like this was where they were talking about like, okay, like when do you think you're gonna be do you see yourself being as big as a NoFX or whatever at some point? And the rest of the band seems to like kind of hint that like, yeah, that'd be pretty fucking cool. I would like to work that hard to do that. And Dan is just like, yeah, it'd be cool, but if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm like, Tim dropped out of school to be in this band. Like, I think he might want it to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, and I only just started rereading their chapter in Sellout yesterday, but the the ceiling for them, it wasn't NoFX, it was Green Day.
Yeah,
like
it ended up being
I mean, they landed somewhere in the middle of those two, I think, popularity and impact wise. But like, yeah, like you don't write a song like this without knowing that it could be played in arenas and not just your small punk shows.
Yeah.
But after that is Weight of Time, another song with really sick bass playing. And the only featured guest vocal on the album from Russ Rankin of Good Riddance.
Yep.
I don't love this song. I think that the verses in particular feel very like I don't know, square, I guess, if that makes sense. It's got the big time change trick again. I don't know. I don't think this song adds anything to the album. This is another one I would cut in a second.
I wouldn't hate that. Like the big standouts are, like you said, that it has a feature, which is cool. Like Russ Rankin is awesome. I love Good Riddance and Only Crime. So like
I've never listened to a Good Riddance album. I guess I should change that.
I'd recommend it. Only Crime is great. You should definitely listen to Only Crime. But yeah, like beyond that, like this is not a standout for me by any stretch of the imagination, especially given that it comes right before the very good closer, Faint Resemblance.
Yeah, we could just talk Faint Resemblance, because this song kind of makes the album, I think, for me. Not just literally like they should put it on the album. They did it. Like it ties everything together.
No, I know what you meant. It really ties the room together, like some things do.
Yeah. No, it's just this. It's got a really good idea at the core of it, which is this like I've been trying my best and I don't know if it's good enough or if I'll be able to keep doing this forever. And like I think it fits with the political ideas that this album is hinting at, even if they're not explicit. It's about the idea of being in a band like this and not knowing if you can stick it out until you can make it your career or whatever. It's got the outro just feels like something they teleported back from a future album. It weirdly hints at exactly where they're gonna go.
I feel like especially in the chorus that's evident, because it's the classic like really short, really punchy Rise Against chorus, which like they don't do often, but when they do it, it sounds like it's a signature for them in a lot of ways.
For sure.
But I do love that they go into 7 in part of the bridge. That kind of rules too. Yeah,
I missed that. I need to go back and listen for that again. I love a 7/4 part.
I think they shift from 7 to 8 and then back to 7. I'd have to double check. And I could be completely wrong, Dan. If you're listening, please don't hate me forever. But also like this does the we'll talk about this a little more on another song, I think, like one of the songs that didn't make the record. But this does the thing that I like, where a lot of lyrics get crammed into a short space and it's done well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I dig that a lot. This is a killer closer. It really does bring everything together.
Yeah. So then that's the album. I feel like I always say that when we get into the bonus track.
That is the album.
It is. It was reissued, like we mentioned, in 2005, remixed with 2 extra songs. Join the Ranks, which was one of the recorded for the demo originally. It didn't make the album. I don't know that I feel like I would have needed it to make the album. I don't think it is, I don't think it super it adds anything except for that big guitar solo, which just they don't really do at all in this era of the band. Maybe that's why they cut it, because it just doesn't sound like anything else they do.
The guitar solo is sick, though, to be clear.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't heard this song, it does rule. And you would also think, based on the title, that it'd be more of a political song, but it's not really.
Yeah, it hints at it. It's about like people who blindly follow like the path life lays out for them and don't really know why. But like it's not too explicit in what it's about. That it's more one of those like youthful, angry but generalized anger songs than about anything specific.
Yeah.
So then they have a couple of, I guess, so Gethsemane is the other one that is on the reissue, but I think we should talk about that in conjunction with that one and Generation Lost, which were probably, I think, the only two songs they recorded with Todd Money on guitar after Dan Walensky left the band, rumored to have been kicked out because his hair was too long, which is really funny, though apparently that's not true.
I don't believe that for a damn second. I had to
call that out because it's one of the funniest reasons to kick someone out of a band that has ever happened.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think of Gethsemane and Generation Lost?
I really love Gethsemane. That song is sick as hell. Generation Lost, I like a lot. It's definitely it is. Sorry, it is definitely a like transitional song between what they were doing on this record and what they ended up doing on RPM, which makes sense because Todd is on it. It's produced by Matt Allison, who I believe did RPM. If I am wrong about that, I'm gonna cry.
Believe you are wrong about that. I think that
no.
I think that's when they go to Bill Stevenson.
Oh, that's right. That's when they go to Bill Stevenson for the first time. Sorry, everybody. I had a brain fart. But yeah, that one was recorded and produced by Matt Allison, aka Metallison, over at Atlas Studios here in Chicago. R.I.P. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like Generation Lost nearly as much as I like Gethsemane. But it's still a cool song. I think it does the too many lyrics in a small space thing to less good effect than on previous songs. But otherwise it's like a pretty cool track. But like the bridge and outro of Gethsemane, and I feel like I'm pronouncing that word wrong every single time. I'm sorry. I wasn't as much of a church kid as some people.
It's okay.
But like sick opening riff. The screaming part is so cool on this song. Like the where's the fucking truth at the end of that song lives in my head rent free, and has since the mid 2000s. So like I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's very good. I think you're right on about how these are both very transitional songs. They feels like a band with more confidence, a band that has found like the sound that is theirs. But I like that. I'm glad that neither of these songs ended up on Revolutions Per Minute because I don't think either of them are as good as anything on that album. But they are really cool to see the evolution.
Totally.
The only other song from this era is Obstructed View, which I mean, I always thought was like a Siren Song era thing, but I think they just ended up, because they had it sitting around, they used it as a B-side for one of the versions of Siren Song, but it is actually from this era. I don't have much to say about the song other than that the bass playing is great.
Yeah, totally.
It's good.
Yeah, it good. Yeah, I got a little confused on like when this song actually was released too, because like some source was like, yeah, this was produced by Triple G Arth.
It's not. It's
not.
It was on a compilation in this era, and then just ended up getting maybe they re-recorded. I don't know. I don't think they did. I
don't think so. But anyway, yeah, like pretty decent song, killer bass playing. Not much more to say about it than that.
Yeah. All right, I think that's everything from this era. I'm excited to talk about the rest of Rise Against discography. The next 3 albums are absurdly important to me in my musical history, so I'm looking forward to that.
Same, honestly. I have core memories associated with RPM specifically, and Siren Song for sure. And probably to a lesser extent, Sufferer and the Witness. But yeah, I'm excited to do these next few albums, and then my excitement might taper a little bit from there, until it eventually becomes Dread. For certain albums that will remain nameless for now.
Yeah. All right. You got any random recommendations for this week?
Yeah, I've got a recommendation for a book that probably everybody else has already read, but I just got around to because I'm slow. But at least it was only from a couple of years ago and not from like 20 years ago. I want to recommend Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. He is a poet by trade, but put out his first novel a couple years ago, and that was Martyr. It is. I don't want to spoil too much, but like, you know, the kind of back cover idea is that the main character Cyrus is a like recovering alcoholic, a poet. His mom died in a attack from a American warship on a civilian plane flying from Tehran to I forget what the destination was originally supposed to be, but anyway, his mom dies when he's incredibly young. So he has this kind of specter of like what his mom was like running through his life, but he and his father moved to the middle of Indiana when he's very young, and the book is kind of about, you know, his recovery, this like kind of eventual kind of obsession with the idea of making your death matter, it taking the form of kind of martyrdom, and then some wild stuff happens along the way. But I will say one of my favorite parts of this book, and this is not a spoiler, even though it happens late in the book, is there's just a circle takes the square show happening in one of the scenes later on in the book, which rules. They are not mentioned by name at any point, but I was like, what other band sings about crow quills? And then like they just like kept inserting lyrics into the chapter, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a circle takes the square show that's happening in someone's dream. That rules.
That's awesome. I have not heard of this book before, but this sounds very good. I'm adding it to my to read list right now.
Yeah, if you want to borrow it, I will gladly loan it out, because
Cool.
Legitimately already one of my favorite books of all time.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta read this. And then for mine, I'm also going to recommend a book. Book that I'm in the middle of reading right now is Mood Machine by Liz Pelly. Is a book about the rise of Spotify and the ways that it has destroyed the music industry from every angle. I think it is just a phenomenal book. I mean, there's been some excerpts kind of went viral from it somewhat recently. It is, why do I say it like that? Fuck. They were shared widely
on the internet, if you will.
The idea of virality is one of the things that's critiqued in this book. But just I'm almost done with it. I've got a few chapters left, but it's I just think it's a great window into how the music industry and music scenes have changed over the last 15 years, and how Spotify did some of that by accident and a lot of it on purpose, and how art in general and culture are worse off because of Spotify as a company.
Yeah, I have that book sitting like literally next to me waiting to be read within the next couple of weeks. I'm very excited to dive in.
Cool. All right, so that's it. See you next week for Revolutions Per Minute.
See y'all then.